Good morning, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Read Me Live with Sharifah Hardie. We have had some incredible shows, and I've introduced you to some amazing people. And one of the things that I love is in almost every show, and I think actually in every show, Spirit has shown up and shown out in one way that has just blown me away. And just I'm seeing so many different synchronicities, and so I'm introducing you to some amazing people. We just did the show with my mom. If you missed that show, you definitely want to rewatch that show. Go see that show because you'll see why I am the way I am, because my mom always calls my readings do-it-yourself readings, because I leave the querent ability to kind of look at the cards themselves. I share a lot of information about the cards, but this time I definitely did a do-it-yourself card, do-it-yourself reading, because I was like, Mom, how do you interpret that? I interpret it this way. How do you interpret it? I see this. What do you see? Which is basically how I grew up and how I learned. And even Mom had to say I'm much better than how I initially learned. So today's guest is someone who also is a knower. She knows her stuff. So she's not somebody you can easily pull the wool over. If I don't know what I'm doing, I can tell you right now, Wren Estremo is going to let me know. So let's welcome to Read Me Live, the founder and owner of the Dragon and the Rose, and so much more than that, Miss Wren Estremo. How you doing,
Wren? I'm great. Greetings from Sturgis, South Dakota.
Is it cold?
No, today's going to be 83.
I don't know.
There are days when it gets cold, but today is going to be a nice, warm, sunny day. When I got up this morning to go make coffee, it was blue skies for days.
I'm enjoying the pictures of the sunsets, but I'm one of those people who assume in my world, in Sharifah's head, it's California and then cold. Like the rest of the world is just cold. That's how I see it.
The nice thing about this place is you can have all 4 seasons in a day. It could be colder than a well digger's ass in the Klondike in the morning, and hotter than the hinges of hell in the afternoon, and windy and rainy by the evening. It's crazy.
Where do you get these expressions from?
My mother and father.
What was that first one? Hotter than what?
Hotter than the hinges of hell. Oh. There's several others, and some of them are really, really like vulgar, so I'm not going to say them. That one's pretty tame. I'll tell you privately later some of these more colorful metaphors.
Okay, because I learn a lot, and I love our discussions. I love when I can sit down and talk to you for hours and get, like, because I always say it's the world according to Sharifah Hardie, but my world is pretty tame. When you can sit down and listen to the world of Wren, I think your whole head, it's like, what was that movie where her head spun around? Like your whole perspective is going to change talking to Wren.
Maybe. Yes. And that's not necessarily a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing at all. At all. You know why? Because I'm so glad that I was able to have you on after my mom, because one of the things that my mom and I discussed is my mom's a Libra 1010 and my mom's an air sign. So my mom gives you the unadulterated truth, her truth, whether you like it or not. And so we were discussing how, you know, as a young girl, and I'd ask her a question and my mom would be like, this is the way it is. And it kind of hurt my feelings because it came off as really blunt and rather short. And now in having a conversation, I realized like she answered the question. She gave you the answer. That's the answer. And that's what it is. Right. So in a lot of ways, I love that aspect of you, because if you ask Wren a question, Wren's going to tell you the truth.
Yeah, generally speaking.
That's a good thing.
Except occasionally when people call me on the phone and I don't want to talk to them, and then I'm not me. I'm sorry. She's in Switzerland. I don't know when she'll be back. She moved off planet. I believe she's currently living in, Jupiter or something.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. But the whole point is it's interesting. It's like a whole different experience. So Wren, just for your information, because I know you're a busy woman and I don't know if you've had an opportunity to catch any of the shows, but what I've done is, one of the reasons I wanted to do readings live is because a lot of readers, they do general readings, right? And I'm not making a judgment. I'm especially specifically referring to YouTube readers. It's like, this is a general reading. If it doesn't resonate for you, then it wasn't for you. Just take, and I'm like, I don't really go for generalities. I love to do specific readings. I love into the energy of the person that I'm reading for. But I also don't like when people say, oh, the cards say, the cards say, the cards say, the cards say, because the cards are confirming what you feel, what you know, what you pick up, what you receive. And so what I didn't want to do during the course of this time is just be like, hey, we're live, let me read the cards. So I've been having these conversations where we all, the listeners, people have been tuning in, making comments. We've all learned so much. And so what I've been doing at the beginning is just shuffling the cards. And for me, it's my sign to spirit to tap into your energy, and that we are at some point, and believe me, like I told Andrea, who's on the other day, it's not going to be right away. We're going to have a good conversation before we even get to the cards. So what is the Dragon and the Rose?
The Dragon and the Rose is a metaphysical store that we started 11 months after the accident that killed my daughter, Ariel Rose. She was killed by a drunk driver 12 days after her 20th birthday, and that was 17 years ago, May 16th. We started it to be of service to the pagan community in her memory, because she was a very happy little Wiccan Buddhist Episcopalian, and, she loved everybody, and she wasn't here to love them anymore, so I'm here to love them for her. And it's been a wild ride.
Okay, I can't even pronounce all of those religions, but it was a pagan Episcopalian,
a Wiccan Buddhist Episcopalian,
a Wiccan Buddhist How is anyone all of those things? How can you be a Buddhist Wiccan Episcopalian?
Okay, so I'll give you the Reader's Digest condensed version, which is still going to be like miles long.
We got time.
Okay, so Rob and I, her father, we were pregnant with her before we got married, and I believed myself to be an atheist. He believed himself to be a Roman Catholic, because that's kind of sort of what he was raised as. He says to me, we need to have this baby baptized. And I went, why? What on earth? Why would we do that? We'd been together a couple of years. He had never once stepped foot inside of a church. Like, what are we even doing here? And he told, it's really, really important. And I went, you know what? It's cheap insurance. What if I'm wrong? Right. So I called the Roman Catholic Church and explained the situation. And they went, well, wait a minute. So he's divorced, and you're not married, and you're having a baby. And I went, yep. And they said, yeah, you're all going to hell. And I went, oh, cool, thanks. So my aunt said, well, try the Episcopal Church. It's Catholic light, a third less guilt. And I went, all right. So I called them and I told them the same thing. I said, listen, first of all, we're not married. He's divorced. We're having this baby. And I think this is all nonsense. And they said, well, it's not about you. It's about the baby. And we'd be happy to baptize your baby. And I went, okay. So we went down and met with the priest, and we went to mass a few times. It was close enough to what Rob was comfortable with that, it was fine. And they were nice people. So I said, all right, okay, we can do this thing. Like, you understand that I think this is bullshit. And they said, yeah, that's fine. Okay. So
See, honesty. I love the honesty.
Well, you know what? I'm not going to lie to these people and tell, oh, yeah, no, I totally believe. Here I am being all whatever. No, that's not me. So we're going through the Book of Common Prayer and the order of service for a baptism. And it says, we're promising to raise this child in the knowledge and love of God. And I looked at him and I said, are we actually doing this? And he said, well, yeah, it's really important. We should do this. I went, all right, whatever. So we had the baptism and we started going to mass regularly. Rob was on the vestry. I taught Sunday school, if you can imagine. Oh my Lord.
I can't.
Yeah, no. Me either.
But there we were. I'm praying for those kids that learned from Wren. I'm praying for them. I hope, they're not all in therapy.
I stuck to the curriculum and was very, very nice about everything. But anyway,
let me do Wren in the class. This is Wren, my impersonation of Wren teaching Sunday school. The book says, this is what thou shalt do. But that's bullshit, right?
No. It was really little people, like kindergarten and below. So it was super duckies and bunnies, and it was all really nice. And we sat and colored pictures and whatever's. It wasn't horrible. I was glad when I was released from that, because that was really not my jam. But we can make nice for a little while. Children are fun. I like children mostly. They're really good if they're cooked right. Anyway, so I was confirmed in the church. We were married in the church. Our subsequent child was baptized. My oldest child, who was not any part of this, was also baptized, and everything was fine. Rob bailed out about 3 years in. Okay. I don't want to go to church anymore. I don't like the new priest, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, excuse you, sir. Right. But here I am for like 18 years, keeping a promise to a God I don't even believe in, showing up, bringing my children up in this thing, and such nonsense. Anyway, one day in Ariel's freshman year of high school, she comes home and she says, hey, guess what? I give up. What? I'm a Wiccan. What the fuck is that? So we
YouTube. We need to watch the language just so you know. Okay,
what the heck is that?
There you go.
And so she explains it to me, and I said, you're an Episcopalian. I can be both. No, you can't. Yes, I can. Mm-hmm. Said, you know what? I'm not going to argue this with a 14-year-old. You go talk to the priest about this, and if the priest signs off on it, do as you will. Okay. So she calls up, and Mother Ginny's out of town, so she talks to Mother Sally. Hi, Mother Sally. It's me, Ariel, and I just wanted you to know I'm a Wiccan. She says, no, you're not. You're Episcopalian. I can be both. No, you can't. Yes, I can. And they had a 45-minute debate that ended up with Ariel going, well, you're entitled to your opinion, click. And I went, oh, boy. So the next week when Ginny was back, I called her and I said, so, hey, Ginny, I got to tell you about this conversation Ariel had with Sally last week while you were gone. And I tell her as much of it as I remembered, and she's laughing. And I said, and why is this funny? And she said, oh, Mother, all gods are God. And there's more than one right path to a relationship with the divine. Ariel's a traveler. She will find her way. And I went, oh, okay. And Ariel had always been interested in all religions. She studied up on all kinds of things, the Buddhist faith and Judaism and all aspects of Christianity and other things that were further afield. She was fascinated by them, and she was looking for the kernel of truth in each one of them, because many of them claim to be the one true thing. And here's the thing about that. They all say that. Mm-hmm. So they can't all be right, which means probably some of them are wrong. Right. But there's still something that is significant and true about each one. And she was looking for the kernel of truth. And she says, I finally found it. And I said, okay, what is it? She says, it's love. Aww. And I went, oh, okay, well, cool. So if you want to be a Wiccan Boost Episcopalian, knock yourself out. And she said, I'm going to be. And I said, I knew you were. The more I fight the thing, I know teenagers, I was one. The more I fight a thing, the more attractive it becomes. As soon as I say, oh, fantastic, great idea, go ahead, whatever, they lose interest because there's no fight. Right. I used to do this with my oldest daughter. She would bring home some boy that was completely inappropriate. And I would say, oh, he's such a nice boy. I really like him. She'd dump him in a heartbeat.
That reverse psychology.
By golly, it works, especially on stubborn little girls. So anyway, I figured this was a phase she was going through, and then she would eventually get over it. All her little friends were doing it and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. But she was a true believer until she died. Mm-hmm. So about 6 weeks later, I'm cleaning out her room, and I come across all her pagan stuff in her room. Mm-hmm. And I sit there with this pile of stuff, and I say, you know what, I'm going to read this and see what the hell she was on about. Mm-hmm. And as I'm reading the first book I opened, I got about halfway through the first page, and I went, oh my gosh, I've been a pagan my whole life. I just didn't have words. Mm-hmm. I didn't understand what my relationship to the universe was, and that it had, a name and certain things, aspects that, like, oh my gosh, I always thought that. This is so crazy. Mm-hmm. So that's when I became, although I had always been, that's when I had words for my kind of spirituality, my connection to the universe, and how I relate to it, and how I'm connected to every living thing, mm-hmm. and the cycles of the seasons, and life and death and rebirth, and the divine in all creatures.
Mm-hmm.
It changed a lot for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I became more completely myself than I had ever been. It was the first time I ever felt comfortable in a religion or in a faith or in a spiritual path or whatever. So
what's interesting to me and what I see and what you said is that this whole energy of this feeling of love had a trickle down effect because it came from her having this understanding, and she gave it to you, and then you gave it to me in a lot of different ways. Because one of the things that I had always said over the years, even before we got incredibly close, was that I always believed you to be an atheist. That's what I kind of thought you were. But I always said, why are my atheist friends always nicer than my religious friends? Like my religious friends are like, you're burning in hell if you don't do it this way. And then I have you who's like, but I love you. And I would drive from Long Beach to Orange County just for a hug. And I'd show up and say, I just want a hug, and then you would just open your arms, give me this hug. And it was the feeling of love, the best feeling of love that I had, and especially in a long time, because to me it was like just a mother's hug. When you had a little kid, you had a bad day at school, you're somebody that tried to bully you, lost your lunch money. You don't always need somebody to fix it, to fix the problem. You just need somebody to give you a hug and just surround you, and so that you know that you are loved.
Yeah, that's what I try to do. And a lot of the things I do in the course of my professional life now is love people who are having a time.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have a conversation about what's going on and what they think they might need to alleviate some of the problems or whatever. And then I often will look at somebody and say, do you need a hug? I think you might need a hug.
Mm-hmm.
You want a hug? Oh, yeah, I need a hug. Okay, let's do this. And I will go and hug people. And some people are used to like the little 3-second thing.
Yeah.
Ugh, I hate that. I will hold them till it gets weird.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. And sometimes I'll rock and sometimes I'll whisper things to them. And then when they think the hug is over, bam, we switch sides because we can't be lopsided. And then they start laughing. Usually, like we can cry together for a while, but we usually end up, giggling a little because we've got this ridiculously long hug. And, I pat them on the head and give them a little smooch and tell them where the candy dish is, or give them a cookie and pat their butt on the way out the door. Like that's what I try to do, is send everybody out a little better than they got there. And some people are really open to that, and some people are like a little put off initially, but then they come back again.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, can I get another hug? Absolutely.
Right.
I actually thought of it would be kind of fun if I had like a big rocker recliner in the middle of the shop, and people could come in and just sit in my lap, and I will rock them and whisper to them and maybe sing a little song and cheer them up or comfort them when they're having a shit day. Because I think it'd be nice. Probably make $1 million.
Hey, we need that right now.
Yeah.
That's a week. Like we need.
Yeah, we do need $1 million. If I could do it by hugging people and patting them and singing them a little song and giving them a cookie, I would totally do it.
We're gonna see. Maybe we're gonna test this theory. We're gonna see if we can get.
You know what? I could turn the front room of the annex into the hug room.
I think that's great. I think that's a wonderful idea. I had a show with Frances Pullen, and she said she's a channel. She's amazing. She's actually doing a mediumship class. We're going to do it live Mondays at 7 p.m. for 6 weeks. But she's channeling during her episode, and she said that my grandmother came through. And she said that my grandmother said that the energy of politics wasn't for me, that I'm doing what I was called to do now. And then my grandmother apparently said, and it was right in front of your face the whole time. It was right in front of your face. So I think the hugs are right in front of your face the whole time, but we didn't know we could monetize it.
You know what? If people would pay for 20 minutes in the rocking chair with somebody singing them a soft little song and giving them a cookie and some warm milk when they leave, why not?
I don't know, but we might have to test this theory. Oh, I
I'd,
love this.
I'd be willing to. You know the blue recliner in the living room?
We'll discuss that, but yes, I do.
Yeah, well, that would be my chair. That was the one I rocked my son in his whole life.
Oh, oh,
So
that is
that's
beautiful.
a great chair for that too. It's like super cushy and comfy, and you know.
It is super cushy and comfy. It's
Yeah.
a wonderful chair. Um, I loved Butch Terrell. Always in my shows, give a shout out to Butch Terrell because he does the cars and he does these readings and then he goes off on these tangents. And I'm loving this show and I love the directions and the tangents and I'm going all over the place. But I want to go back. Let's rewind. Let's go back to you read the book. You were
I
reading
read the book.
and then you found out that what you were, this was what you were your entire life. You just didn't have the word for it. So with metaphysical stores or metaphysical shops, some people can have a certain expectation based on the connotation of the word. So they hear pagan and they're like, oh my God, I can't go there. But for you, what does the word pagan mean?
Pagan is somebody who is multi-theistic or sometimes non-theistic, who just worships the divine in nature, honors the cycles of the natural world, the spring and the summer and the winter and the fall and all the different energies that are involved in that. Once upon a time, everybody was a pagan. And then Judaism came, and then the cult of Christianity came, and various other things. Somebody had a different idea and said, well, this is my idea. And everybody said, or certain people, not everybody, certain people said, yeah, that sounds good to me. And so they jumped on that bandwagon. And some people do it because they really believe it. Some people do it because they're afraid of the alternative. There's absolutely nothing. Or, the heaven and hell thing. Oh, I better be good or I'm going to hell. I think everywhere you are, you have the potential for heaven or hell. And it's how you look at your life. It's what you make of it. There are things I have lived through that I think, man, that was hell. And then some days I'm absolutely in heaven.
That's so beautiful that you say that, because I had a guest, Salim Amir Bey, who was the first show that I did, and I did a reading for him. And I was at the gym yesterday, and he called while I was at the gym on the treadmill, and I'm not supposed to be on there, but I snuck and had this conversation. And he was like, Sharifah, I just have to tell you, and this is his words, not mine. He said, ever since you did that reading for me, it was like something just cracked open in me. Like his perception has changed, his energy has changed. And he started to say like different things were happening. And so I'm listening to him talk, and all of a sudden I noticed on that the gym is playing the song Heaven is a Place on Earth. And all day I just kept hearing that song, like heaven is a place on earth. And it was just reminding me that, especially now in my life and what I'm doing, heaven is a place on earth. So I love that you said that. It just reminded me of that. But when we say a metaphysical store, what are some items, or what are some things that a person can get from the Dragon and the Rose?
We have everything you need for the practice of alternative spiritual paths. So we have incense and oils and candles and herbs and crystals and jewelry and altar supplies of various kinds, divination tools, oracle cards, tarot cards, pendulums, spirit boards. We have just, all kinds of things, jewelry, CDs and books. If somebody comes up with, hey, do you have this thing? I don't. Should I? Yeah, you should have that. Okay, I will acquire it, or I will make it, or whatever. A lot of the things we have are like, when I started, I had no idea what I even needed. I just opened up the thing and went, here I am. People would walk in, they'd say, do you have mugwort? Oh, I don't. Should I? You should absolutely have mugwort. All right, I'll get some mugwort. People come in, they'd say, do you have rose quartz? I don't. Should I have rose quartz? You should have rose quartz. I'll get some. And this is how things built. And as I learned more, it's like, oh, you know what else we need? And, eventually the little wheels go turning in my brain. And I create a lot of what we sell. I try to work with local makers, artists, and whatever, because I like to support, fellow small businesses. We have a lot of people that I sell on consignment, or their stuff is so proven. Like this always sells. This maker, their stuff is good. It's powerful. People like it. They're not even consignment anymore. I buy it outright because I know it's a sure thing. Mm-hmm. I create spell kits and charm pouches and tarot bags and, ritual clothing, robes and cloaks and whatever. I make lots of things. I do charged candles with intentions and in various sizes, tea lights and chime candles and utility candles and the big jar candles and whatever. I create the smudge fans. I have a line of greeting cards. I do all kinds of stuff because I'm a creative guy and I like to do things. And, very little of what we carry is mass produced. Mm-hmm. Obviously the books are, duh. And the divination tools mostly, although some of the pendulums are handmade by local creators. Mm-hmm. I make a lot of the jewelry too, but the statues and things like that, those are mass produced because I don't know anybody who can sit and carve statues. Mm-hmm. At least not today. Maybe tomorrow I will find somebody that does that. I don't know, but we try to keep the soulless things out of there as much as possible, and bring in things that are created with love and intention by people who have a clue what they're doing. Mm-hmm. That helps everybody locally too, and not just some corporation somewhere.
Right. And I love that, because one of the things that I saw is that I've seen the candles specifically for years. And then one day I was in the store and you were making the candles and I was blown away, because I was like, I had absolutely no idea that you made those candles. I believed and I thought that somebody just made them or mass produced them.
Somebody did.
I didn't know it was you, though. I thought it was like mass production. And which brings me to the point that another thing that I love about you, and I've never heard anyone else say it in the same way, is because like I said at the very beginning, one of the things that I love about you is you just give Wren's truth no matter what. And you focus a lot on the intention, and I hear you say that all the time when people come into the store. So mm-hmm. Let's talk about intention, because there's an expression, I don't want to mess it up, that you say, like, basically it doesn't.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Okay. So people will come in and they tell me that they need a particular thing. Mm-hmm. I'm doing a money spell. I need a green candle. Mm-hmm. I'm out of green candles. But mm-hmm. I'll tell you what, that candle you're about to use does not have any idea what color it is. Mm-hmm. So until you give it a job, it's illumination mm-hmm. and nothing more. I need this herb. I don't have that herb. But you know what? The herb doesn't know what it is. It mm-hmm. only knows what your intention is. So tell whatever. You're going to use peppermint. I don't have peppermint today. I have basil. Mm-hmm. Basil will do the job just as well, because until you give it a job, it's a condiment. Mm-hmm. The oils, until you give them a job, they're lubrication.
Right.
Everything is what it is until you give it a specific job. Mm-hmm. So pick whatever mundane friend you want to help you and tell it what its job is. And then it becomes magic, because you're magic. The magic is in the practitioner, not in the item that you use. And someday, okay, I don't have any candles, but if I close my eyes and think, I can picture a candle. Mm-hmm. The magic is here. If you have this and this and this, and they all work, that's all the magic you need. But by all means, if you need a magical widget and you decide I might have it, come buy the magical widget at my place. But it's Dumbo's magic feather. You need to understand that you can always fly. You didn't need that thing. But if that thing helps you, makes you feel magical, by all means, use whatever you want. There is no wrong answer. If you know what your intention is and you're really clear about that, doesn't matter what you use. Just use whatever you want. And poof, that's the key to manifesting, is knowing what you want and being really clear about it, and then being thankful as though you have it. Bring it into the now. It's not someday I want. Today I receive. This is the thing that I need. This is the thing that I desire for my best and highest good, with harm to none. So mote it be. And then just relax. Because the thing that is for your best good is the thing that will present itself. And sometimes the universe will look at you and go, dude, seriously, it's hard. Okay, but maybe I have something better for you. How do you feel about better? Better's good. Better me all day long. How can things get better?
Yes.
That's the question to ask. That's the question to ask. And if you focus on lack, lack will be your thing. If you focus on abundance, abundance will be your thing. What you think and believe is the things you call to you. So be really clear about what you want. And that brings up another common thing. We have people who show up in the shop and they want to do a love spell. Children, let me tell you, that's dangerous ground. And there's a right way to do it. And I'm going to tell you what it is, because this will clear up a lot of things. Make a list of the attributes you are looking for in a potential mate. Remember that there are 8 billion people on the planet right now, fully half of them the correct gender for you, more if you're open-minded. You see and know certain people. The universe knows everybody. So you say, oh, I really want that one. That one? What? Why? Because you see them? Maybe that's what you see on the outside is not what's on the inside. Maybe that's not the best fit. Maybe you're just lazy. So don't do that, though. And here's the other part about things. If you use a magic spell to pull somebody into your life, maybe they don't want that. If you take away somebody else's free will, yuck, don't do that. What would you feel if somebody did that to you? Oh, but I really want them. That's so nice, but maybe they don't want you. You would feel bad if you found out somebody tricked you into a thing, or, it's so icky. I can't even think about it. Don't do that to people. It's not nice. It's not good. Then when you usurp the will of another, that's where the black magic comes in. That's not good. And even, it's not harmful. Yeah, no, it is though. So don't do it. Just don't do it.
Okay, so what is the correct way? What's the correct way? Let's learn.
Make a list of the attributes you want in a potential mate. And you can be as specific as you want. You can even think, that one over there fills the bill. But then you say to the universe, this or something better. For the best and highest good of all concerned, me and the other person, with harm to none. Because with harm to none is really important. You don't want to hurt somebody. Right. In the creation of your manifestation, you don't want to hurt somebody. Or if you do, you're kind of a douche and you shouldn't get what you want. Like, go away. But then you just leave it to the universe. Just like the best thing for me, and in divine timing, bring me this thing I'm willing to accept now and any time in the future, whatever the divine timing is, this thing for my best and highest good. This person who will be my best match, who will give me, the best experience, for whom I can provide the best experience. Because it's not all about one person. A relationship is 2 people minimum, and it's got to be good for everybody, or it's not good.
I'm about to cry. Like, I just feel my emotions. Like, this is some good stuff. If you are tuning in, you definitely have to share this show. Share it with your friends. One of the things Salim talked about on the earlier show was love. Like, we talked about love and relationships. So I know he definitely wants to hear this. He's tuning into the show. You are incredible. Oh my God, the energy is so powerful. It's so beautiful. I just love it. I get so excited. I've been finding so much happiness and so much joy in just reading. And I was so grateful that my mom came on this morning, because I was telling her that, and I didn't know if she remembered, but about 20 years ago, when she took me to like these psychic fairs and we read with this person, read with that person, my mom was like, you can do this, Sharifah, you can do this. And in my head, I was like, I can't do that. Like, those people are special, And there was this other side of me that felt that, okay, but what is it that you're doing? Like, any idiot can flip over a card, but 20, 30 years later, I'm like, oh my God, it's so much more than flipping over a card. Or just also, I want to lift this veil of people believing that only certain people, or only the sexy people, only the special people have the ability to tap into spirit, or tap into this frequency. And we all have it. Some naturally are born with it. Some have trained years for it. But I believe that God wants us to have communication with him, and that's why we receive messages. So with that said, Miss Beautiful Lady, we're going to start your reading. And like I say in my description, is that my belief is not only that God loves you, but that the 10 cards you receive are the 10 cards out of 78. What are the odds? But out of the 78 cards, these are the 10 cards that Miss Wren was supposed to receive today. So I'm
all ears.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Said I'm all ears.
Okay, so the first card that I always read is stop it, because I'm gonna take a picture, and I already got blackmail pictures. So
oh yeah, you do.
I started to text you last night, and when you sent me those 2 pictures, I said, I started to text you and say, I'm gonna use my picture. You want me to use that? That's my blackmail picture. When you don't act right, you don't want. I'm like, I got that blackmail picture.
Yeah, you do. I sent that to my daughter too, and she thought that was hilarious.
You are hilarious. It is nothing like a great laugh. But the main issue that you have, and when I get the millions of dollars that Wren's about to give me, I'm gonna get a better computer and better lights where people can see it. Because I love this deck. I'm reading from the Arcanum Tarot deck, and I love it because on every show I have mentioned you. I just want you to know, Wren, that you are going down in history, because I mention you on every show, because I was telling people, and I say, my friend Wren taught me, because I was telling her one day that I'm a hopeless romantic, and Wren, the owner of the Dragon in the Rose, says, no, Sharifah, you're not hopeless, you're hopeful. So I'm a hopeful romantic, thanks to Wren. But it's the 4 of Wands, right? And the 4 of Wands as your issue is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful omen, a beautiful sign. So for me, the 4 of Wands is about celebration. It's about people who get together to celebrate together. These are your weddings. These are your graduations. These are things where the family, the people have a reason to celebrate. They've gone through the war. They've gone through the hard times. And now they say, let's party. So this is my let's party card, and it's a beautiful sign as a issue, because that means Wren is gonna cook us some food, and Wren is gonna celebrate. And I look, I just love it. I'm just here for the party. What we have? Oh, how long? Oh, you go. Yeah, we gonna have us a party. I know.
Well, the day after Thanksgiving, we are having a party. So.
Yeah. So celebrate. We gonna what's that song? I was telling my mom earlier, I hear songs based on the cars, and this one is that celebrate good times. What was that, an 80s, 70s song? Celebrate good times. Come on.
Yeah.
We're gonna celebrate good times, Wren.
All right.
But what's over that issue as far as the celebration is the 7 of Wands. Again, Wands, we got a lot of action. Wands are movement. The 7 of Wands for me is the David and Goliath card. The 5 of Wands is about easy challenges. Not necessarily easy, but they're the average person. Challenges from the average person, where the 7 of Wands is that 1,000,000 to 1 odds for this to happen. And the reason I believe God makes the odds 1,000,000 to 1 is because so that God gets the glory. The Spirit gets the glory. He gets the glory to say that all of this is happening for your highest good, to show people of how good I am, how good you are. So what that means to me in conjunction with this celebration is that we're going to celebrate this challenge that you've overcome, right?
Okay.
Because your next card is the 2 of Swords. The 2 of Swords for me is about minor decisions, minor choice. Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing at my reading?
I'm not. There's a distraction in the room.
Tell distractions we are busy. We got stuff to do. We are talking to spirit, okay? You can't distract us. We're talking to spirit.
Well, we can try.
Okay. Two of Swords is about minor choices, minor decisions, like deciding if you want to celebrate, what that celebration looks like. I know the distraction is still there. I can tell by the fact that your face is red, but that's okay. Okay. That's the Two of Swords. The next card that you have is the Three of Swords, right? And it reminds me, and I mentioned this too on one of my calls, is it reminds me of conversation of your dear friend Alice, where it was profound that this card showed up, because I was telling Alice that I don't believe that there is any negative card in the deck, that every card has a positive meaning, that there's something positive to it. And Alice said, okay, but what about the Three of Swords? Like, it doesn't have a positive meaning. And I said, no, it absolutely does. Because for me, the Three of Swords represents sorrow. It represents pain. It represents loss, but it also represents endings. It also represents closures, because see, you make the choice and you make the decision in the Two of Swords, and the Three of Swords tells you that it's final, that there's some finality, that the pain or sorrow that you have gone through is done. It's over. Again, let's get back to the celebration. Let's celebrate.
Yeah, every ending is a new beginning.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it. So yes, acknowledge that there was hurt, that there was pain, and there was loss. But now tell that distraction I said, I'm trying to work. Only Wren. Queen of Swords, right?
Okay.
Doing the one with my mother, and we were talking about our court card, or our card. And so for the Aries, which is me, is the Queen of Wands. And I was like, Mom, isn't your card the Queen of Swords? And she said yes, because we were also talking about how direct my mom is and how logical my mom is. And I guess that's what I was saying too with you. You're very direct, you're very honest, you give people your truth. So that's the actual symbol. The Queen of Swords is that based on your past energy, you have been the Queen of Swords. You have been somebody who gives their sometimes unsolicited truth, but you are going to tell the world according to Wren, no matter what. So the Queen of Swords is clear. She's sharp. She has no wobble. She has no question on the information. She knows what she knows. The only thing that the only reminder that I have with the Queen of Swords is sometimes people need a spoonful of sugar to help the medicine go down. And I know, like we just saw, that's not necessarily Wren's way, that sometimes we have to temper our knowledge with emotions and with cups, and understand that the scales of justice is blind, but we want to follow the spirit of the law, not always the letter of the law, right? Does that make sense?
Generally.
We're talking generalities, even though we're reading for you, because the next card that came up, present energy, is the Five of Wands, which I referenced earlier. And the Five of Wands for me is always a good sign, especially in business. It means that, okay, you want a business, you want to do things, you want to focus on certain things, maybe focus on your candles, maybe focus on the things that you are passionate about. And so we often think, okay, well, I want to do candles, but there are 8 million people who do candles. Everybody on TikTok does candles. Instagram does candles. There are 8 candle stores down the street. What makes my candles different than anybody else? Those people are just people. They're just ordinary people, right? And the people who need your candles, the people who need the Wren magic, they are going to resonate with you. You're going to attract those people. So there should be no fears about, am I good enough? Or are my candles good? The candles, just as an example, because we discussed that. But these are just ordinary people. They're not special people. They're just people. So whatever direction that you want to go on, whatever you decide that you want to do, use your energy to focus on being the best you that you can be, as opposed to saying, okay, but what if I'm not good enough? Or what if they're better than me? Or what if nobody buys my candles? Because you are an amazing, amazing woman, especially because the next card is the King of Pentacles. And the King of Pentacles is a beautiful, 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 beautiful sign. And that's all we're asking for in this reading, is signs and symbols that not even necessarily only I will understand, but that you can understand, because this is not even about me. This is about you receiving the message, the divine perfect timing that you need to receive. And so the thing about a king, anytime I get a king, the king symbolizes stability for me. It means that the king has already fought his battles. The king is sitting on his throne. He's not out there trying to go to war. He's not a knight. A knight is the energy for me of a 20-year-old or a 25-year-old. And one thing that most people do at 20 is they think they know every freaking thing, right? They think they know, but we can say they don't know diddly, right? Because you got to get to 50, 60 before you like, oh, okay, I thought I knew, but because I had the information.
Yeah.
The king has already been through those stages. And this is Pentacles, which means when I say we, I mean you gonna get our $1 million because
I'm on it.
Right. Get on it. Get on. You the king. I need you to be on your job. I'm doing my job.
I used to be the Queen of Cups, and then I decided that emotion was not for me. I don't want to be the Queen of Cups anymore. I want to be the Queen of Pentacles.
But you're the King of Pentacles, right?
Well, okay.
We got to move you more because the king takes care of everyone. He holds the pentacles. He has built his castle and now he's sitting on his throne. So that's the energy that you're operating out of. And so the next card that you have is the 3 of Cups, which is a beautiful omen for me because the way I read the 3 of Cups is in the Ace of Cups, you fall in love with yourself. That's about self-love. And you can't love anyone else until you can love yourself. And so once you learn to love yourself, then you can get to the 2 of Cups. You can get into partnership. You can get into loving somebody else. You find that ideal partnership. You find that ideal distraction. Be gone. You find that ideal person. But the 3 of Cups is my reminder of that song. First comes love, then comes marriage, then comes baby in the baby carriage, because the 2 create the 3. So the 3 of Cups for me is always my symbol of marriages, of weddings, of good times. And again, this is confirmation because we already had the 4 of Wands. So I'm going to use this card moving forward, especially since I see all the fruit and abundance at the bottom. This is going to be my Wren's fixing dinner card. Wren's about to do some cooking. Wren's about to set the table. We going to eat good in the 3 of Cups because we about to have a party. It's about love and marriage and the baby in the baby carriage. Because the next card you have is the King of Wands. So you're getting a lot of kings, a couple of kings. The King of Wands is the king of creativities, he creates, he's a ruler. He sets the rules, he sets the tone. And in business, especially the King of Wands and the King of Pentacles is a very good sign. This tells me that you know what you know. You have, and we, that's why I do it at the end, because we saw that at the beginning of the conversation. Like you weren't like, oh, I think this is the way you should do a spell. You were like, let me teach you how to do it the right way. And that's the energy of the King of Wands. So maybe this is moving you more into the hugs, like teaching that and monetizing that. But the final outcome at the end of the day is the 9 of Wands. 9 of Wands, the 9 of Wands, which is a very, very, very beautiful sign to me, because this tells me success. This is one of my cards of success, that you've gone through the challenges. Because look, you got the 5 of Wands, challenges with ordinary people. You got the 7 of Wands. You done went up against the dragon. So that takes you to the 9. You're almost at completion. You're finished with these career challenges. And now it's time for you to step out there in whatever direction you decide to go in and to create whatever it is that you want to create. Wands for me are action, movement. You have a lot of movement. So yeah, you have some loss, you have some pain, but at the end of the day, you about to make dinner. You ever had a reading where at the end of the day is about dinner?
Only with you, dear. Only with you.
Only here on Read Me Live do I do a whole reading, and it's like, well, we about to eat.
What's for dinner? Yeah.
What's for dinner?
What's for dinner?
Do you have any questions for me?
I don't. This was lovely.
Did it resonate with you?
Because I know some of the things that are going on in my life. Yeah, a lot of it does. You know that I've reconfigured the shop and put the reader back in the shop so that I can have the annex to myself for my creative pursuits, which I haven't had the space or the time for because I was too busy, running the shop and couldn't get in there because the reader was in the entrance to the thing and all the places I needed to be were beyond that. that when I come back from this particular adventure, I'm going to be able to walk into the annex and access all the space and put things in a usable configuration so that I can create again, because that's where I'm happiest. It's the best use of my time. Any idiot can stock candles. Any idiot can dust. I'm the only one that can do the things I do, and I've been squandering my time and my talent doing mundane things that I could give a banana to a monkey and they could do this job. So
yes, so I see
yeah.
your creative pursuits increasing. Obviously, you're right where you're supposed to be, and everything looks like, again, let's get back to celebrate good times, and that there will be a lot of celebrations and a lot of celebrations of good times in all seriousness. So I definitely am grateful and appreciate that you have allowed me to read for you. And one of the things that I do is love to allow the guests an opportunity to mention, speak directly to people who are tuning in. League TV says nice, he enjoys the show, but to just leave them with a final message from Wren.
Final messages. Don't be a jerk. That's the only rule. Okay? A lot of religions have multiple commandments. I have one. Don't be a jerk. If you can't help somebody, don't hurt them. Love everybody. Everybody is beloved of somebody, even if they are a jerk. Try to be as good a human as you can. Have compassion, show mercy, have grace. That's it. Love is the law.
I think that is beautiful in those final words. Don't be a jerk. If you too want to sit there where Wren is, you can visit my website at readmelive.com and schedule your appearance on the show. Until next time, everyone have a safe and a blessed